What's going on, everybody? Rob here, aka Trev2323, TREV2323. Subscribe, like, and share. Just got my DIY solar off-grid inverter in. Okay, so you want to look into solar. This to me is one of the first things you should look into when you're looking into solar, because it's really what blew my mind when I started looking into solar. So let me put this to the side right here. That little gem right there was $850 for just that part right there. I bought the solar panel. That's a whole different video. I did an unboxing of the Growatt inverter, so check that out. This is not a late bill. I know you see the red, it's not a late bill. But before you look into solar, I'm waiting for an extra piece to come in right now because I want to get more in depth and more detail about your energy usage. It's pretty crazy because I'm in a bunch of forums for DIY solar now, okay? And one thing that you get your electric bill in and you pay it. You get your electric bill in and you pay it. I never actually looked at what my kilowatt usage is. The kWh, or kilowatt hour usage, never dawned on me. Never dawned on me to look to see what I'm paying for electricity usage. In Chicago, I was pretty amazed. Chicago is actually paying less for electricity than Northwest Indiana. But what's crazy is on my bill, I'm in December right now. So this is December's bill, issued December 23rd. Okay, this is 2020. My kilowatt, this past month, I've used kilowatt hours. I used, on average, daily kilowatt hour usage, on average, was 26.2 daily kilowatt hours. Now last month, the month before, my daily kilowatt usage was 21.5 to 26.2. Now you know what the difference is? It's Christmas. We got all the Christmas lights up. We got all the Christmas village up and everything. So that's the difference. But I really don't mind that because me and my honey like sharing the Christmas spirit. But the crazier thing is, last year, the same period last year, it was 32.4. So why was it that much more last year? I can tell you why. The average temperature, same period last year, was 35 degrees. The average temperature this year was 48 degrees. So we were using a lot more electricity last year. And I know for sure last year we had a heater, a radiator heater on the front. And when my son was still living here, he had a electric heater upstairs. You know, so there was a lot more usage going out last year. But it comes down to the kilowatt hours and things that you don't take into consideration. So the first thing before you look into DIY solar is look into your kilowatt hours usage. Okay, so you want to try to invest all this money in the solar, but you didn't try to trim your electricity budget down. So, and I'm not saying that we're gonna become living in the dark with candles. I'm saying, did you switch all your lights over to LEDs? You know, they went from regular incandescent light bulbs to the little squirrely ones that you had to wait to warm up till they get bright enough. Well, now they got LEDs, and yes, they are more expensive, but God, they use so much less wattage than the older incandescent light bulbs. Like, well, I like what 100 watt gives me. Well, you could get the same 100 watts for 13 watts, the same brightness for 13 watts from a LED bulb. So that's one of the biggest things. It's a bigger investment out front, but it's a lot less than a solar system. Let me tell you that. It's a lot less than a solar system. And also, what's killing me also, like in Illinois, I'm seeing how much less we are paying for electricity than a lot of other people in the country. Our electricity costs us a lot less, but they're financing people for solar. Let us finance you for solar. We could do your whole house solar. Not once has anybody had to replace the roof yet. What are you going to do when you got to replace your roof and all your solar panels are up there? Have you ever thought of that? And then they're financing you for 10, 15, 20 years for solar, saying that, well, when this is paid off, you're going to have no electricity bill for your house when this is paid off. But currently, right now, you're making more money. You're making more payments for that solar system that you put up. So it's really kind of not making sense. The solar system that I bought is an off-grid solar system. It's off-grid. The only thing that plugs into the house is you can have a plug like the coffee pot. If you want to assist charging your batteries, if you're not getting enough sun, it will assist charging your batteries. But that's the only thing. It's off-grid, not any way, shape, or form does this thing feed into the electric grid. And that's what they try to sell on you. Before they used to sell, well, if you put it into the electric grid, the electric company will pay you money. If you put it into the electric grid, well, now they're saying, well, it just stores it just in case you need more. It's already covered. It just stores it. But for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, you're making a payment with interest, which does not make sense. So this is just a DIY hobby for me. DIY hobby, I'm trying to see if I can get my 5 fish tanks off of this power for the house and have that hobby by this hobby right here. But look, grab your electric bill and look what your total kilowatt hours was. So this December 2020, mine was 26.2. Now in the forums that I've been, I've asked plenty of guys what your kilowatt hours were. I was surprised there's guys with 76 to 100 kilowatt hours per day. 76 to 100 kilowatt hours per day. I could not believe that. But on the other end, there's people that use 7 to 15 kilowatt hours per day. And then there's other people in third world countries that are in these forums and they use like 3 kilowatts per day. It's like we take for granted all the electricity that we got that's not governed, that's not regulated. We just turn the power on, turn the power on, turn the power on. And my wife, I can tell you this, my wife is always on me about these lights. She says, you always turn on a light, you never shut off a light. You always turn on a light, you never shut off a light. So my workroom light and then my back porch light, they were more expensive. They're like 40 bucks for the switches, but they're motion switches. I walk in the workroom, the light goes on. I walk out, 5 minutes later, it shuts off. You can set it for 10 minutes later, it shuts off. That one right there for the laundry room is set for like, I think 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you walk in there. Bright LED light, they're LED. Then you walk out, it shuts right off. Okay, but I'm waiting for this tester to come in that plugs into the outlet, and then you can plug all your stuff into the outlet, and it'll tell you how much that appliance is consuming just for being plugged in. Now I have family in Mississippi. Shout out to Misty Rose, Miss Gonzalez out there. She actually had, Misty Rose is her YouTube channel, but she's the one that enlightened me that her electricity bill is so much lower than ours because she unplugs all the stuff, because whatever you have plugged in, more than likely it's drawing electricity no matter what. And I think about it, I don't want to say it, Alexa. I have 4 of them plugged in. I just got them plugged in. I don't know how much electricity they're drawing all the time, and they are drawing all the time because I have to spell the name because it's always listening. So I know they're on all the time. We got 2 Keurigs. One stays plugged in, one doesn't. I'm going to do the check-in to see when it's on and idle, because it's another thing I do. When I make my coffee on a Saturday morning, because I just drink coffee on a Saturday or Sunday morning, one of them, more likely Sunday, but I leave my Keurig in idle. I go forget about it or whatever, come back, maybe I might want one, maybe I might not, maybe, you know, and I would leave it in idle for a long time, so I want to see how much electricity that's drawing. But before you invest all this money in DIY solar, or before you get financed for DIY solar, take a look at your electricity bill. See how much you're paying per kilowatt hour. See what your daily usage and your monthly usage is. And that can actually save you more money than financing a solar system. Now, eventually, everybody's going to be going solar. And the one big thing with the solar system that I'm looking at is lithium-ion batteries. And lithium-ion batteries in the U.S. right now are through the roof. They are so expensive. But they could get charged multiple times a lot more than marine batteries, what normally people use, marine batteries. And marine batteries are cheaper than the lithium ions. Now, they got battery management systems and all that. Well, they were too expensive. Here's the crazy thing. You can get them from China and they're dirt cheap. But it's the shipping and the handling to get them here from China are expensive. So the ones I bought are recycled lithium ion batteries, where big companies use them, and there's places that recycle battery recyclers. So I bought 14 of them. They don't even look like batteries, although they have a positive and a negative. So I know how to run them in series. And in the DIY groups and in the forum groups, I mean, if you're passionate about something, you can learn about it. And that's what I've been learning about right now. And it just got me to looking how much wasteful electricity, like we got a microwave up there with the clock on, and right below it, we got the stove with the clock on. But if I ask Alexa, what time is it?
It's 7:13 p.m.
There's another clock right there. All that is constant power draw, and you just are oblivious. My laptop is plugged in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even if it is topped off, my laptop is always plugged in. So I'm waiting. It's supposed to be here before 9 p.m. where I got a thing that I could plug into the outlet, then plug the device in, then I'll be able to record how much power that's using. But it's just something to look into. If you are looking into solar, if you are looking into cutting your bills, if you are looking into, this is something to look into. I got 5 fish tanks, okay? 2 of the fish tanks have heaters, and the other one has a power head. You know the little power heads, those magnets that spin and force the bubbles in air? Those use way more power than just the under gravel air bubbler thing. You know, they've been doing them for ages. Those use like 5 or 10 watts. Those power heads, they use like 20 or 30 watts, 40 watts, depending upon the size of the power head that's using. The heaters, I got big tanks, so I got 75 or 150 watt heaters in there. Now the heaters are not on all the time, but the tanks are in the basement where it's cooler than upstairs. So yes, that's using power to stuff that's constantly plugged in that you're using. Another interesting fact that I found out is that now this isn't just electricity, this is just maintenance. They say that it's more money per year to own a pool than it is to run your air conditioner. So I don't know the figures and the wattage or the whatever, but it's more money per year. And I know when you go purchase a pool, it does have on the sign right there how much money per year it costs to run that pool. The crazy thing is with these big refrigerators, they don't use as much power as you would think, as long as people ain't keeping opening and closing the door, because they really don't run that often. They get on just to maintain a temperature. Now, if you just plugged it in and you gotta wait for it to get that temperature, it's gonna suck electricity. But after it maintained that temperature, you really don't have to worry about it. And another thing to save money, honestly, it's pretty crazy. What do? We take a big hunk of meat or a chicken or whatever out the freezer, and we put it in the microwave and use more power. We open it, we use power, put it in the microwave, use more power. They say the smart and intelligent way to do is know what you're gonna eat ahead of time, take it from the freezer and put it in the refrigerator. This way, that will keep your refrigerator cool and it has to use less power. Now, we could get more in depth and more in detail and more in everything in this, but this is a beginning. So follow me along for this DIY solar project, and hopefully I don't shoot my eye out, kid. But there's a lot of good people out there showing me what to do and helping me out and answering some questions for me. All I'm trying to do is run my fish tanks. That's all I'm trying to do. And eventually I'd like to try to grow, maybe the whole basement or maybe the whole garage could just be off of solar with the batteries that I got. But I tell you this, I sure gotta wait till lithium ion goes down to the United States. And I bought these used ones. So if these used ones is a 48 volt battery that I'm gonna make, hellacious amp hours. So, but the 4 solar panels I got will not be able to charge this, so it does have to be plugged in. But this is not backfeeding to the grid. This is for an off-grid system. I got this Growatt. This isn't a connected to the grid. This isn't nothing like that. So you're gonna try to connect to the grid. You need the city, you need the permits, you need everything else, because that's a whole different can of worms. The can of worms I'm DIY hobbying for my fish tanks has nothing to do with that. All right. Either way, hopefully I enlightened you some, and stay tuned, because when I get that test rig, I'm gonna be checking all the systems here to see how much power we're actually using. All right. Talk to you later. Subscribe, like, and share.